The wind on the 22nd floor of the Min Global construction site wasn't just cold, it was cruel. It sliced through Samantha's overalls like a warning. She stood barefoot inside her steel-capped boots, gripping a heavy rod of metal, sweat dripping even in winter. Her skin glowed like polished cocoa under the Korean sun, but the others only saw darkness, foreignness. "Samantha! Hurry up," one of the team leaders barked in broken English, not because she was slow, but because shouting at her made them feel powerful. She didn't flinch. She never did. But today, something cut deeper. As she hauled a cement bag onto her back, she heard giggles from behind the metal scaffolding. The voices were familiar, two of her co-workers, young Korean men with fresh university degrees and expensive cologne. They were new, but they had already learned how to treat her. "She looks like a gorilla," one of them said in Hangul. "Do they even speak Korean where she's from? Or just click sounds?" They cackled like demons in uniform. One of them added in English, "Hey Samantha, you need sunscreen." "Oh wait, you already black." Her hands shook. Not from shame, but from the effort of not throwing the cement bag in his face. She turned slowly. Looked them dead in the eye. "I don't need sunscreen," she said quietly. "But you might need some manners." That shut them up, for a second. Then the laughter returned, louder. Samantha walked off. She had work to do. She always did. She had no time for fools with baby-soft hands who'd never lifted a shovel in their lives. She had come from Douala, Cameroon, not to play, not to pose, but to survive. To build. To send money back home where her mother still sold vegetables under a leaking umbrella. 3 years in Korea. 3 years of being invisible. Not just at work, but everywhere. When she walked into stores, the clerks followed her around like she was a thief. When she tried online dating, she got blocked the moment she uploaded her picture. Even the African Korean community kept their distance, afraid she'd pull them down socially. Loneliness had built a thick wall around her. She stopped wearing makeup. Stopped trying to make friends. Stopped hoping someone would see her as more than a dark-skinned outsider. Until that car came. That glossy, impossibly black Genesis limousine glided into the construction yard like a phantom. It didn't belong here, not among the concrete dust and rusted bolts. Everyone froze. The door opened slowly. Out stepped a man whose presence silenced everything. Tailored coat. Silver-rimmed glasses. Hair slicked back like he owned time. And maybe he did, he was Ji-hoon Min, the only son of Korea's most powerful construction dynasty. His shoes didn't even touch mud. He was here to inspect the tower they were building in his name. The Min Tower. A future luxury business center. Samantha wiped her face and turned to avoid attention, but somehow, it was too late. He saw her. Not glanced. Saw. Their eyes locked for half a second, and that second was a spark in a place filled with steel and sorrow. She quickly looked away, embarrassed. Her face was sweaty, hands rough, uniform covered in dust and cement. She wasn't what men fell in love with. Especially not billionaires. But Ji-hoon didn't look away. He leaned closer to his assistant. "Who is she?" he asked. The assistant squinted. "Her. That's just one of the African laborers. From Cameroon, I think. She's quiet. Keeps to herself." Ji-hoon nodded. She looked strong. That simple sentence was the beginning of the storm. Later that day, while Samantha was carrying iron rods, she felt someone approach. She turned, and there he was. Standing in front of her like something out of a K-drama. "Hi," he said, his voice calm and smooth. "You're Samantha, right?" She blinked. "Why yes." He offered a bottle of water. "You look tired." She took it, confused. "Thank you, sir. I'm Ji-hoon." Of course, she knew. Everyone knew. But he said it like he was just a man, not a mogul. That was the first time someone in Korea had spoken to her like she mattered. Like she wasn't a shadow in a city of lights. But Samantha didn't smile yet. Her heart thudded in her chest. Because she knew Korea. She knew people didn't just notice girls like her unless they wanted something. Or unless they were about to ruin her life. Samantha tried to forget about Ji-hoon. She told herself it meant nothing. Maybe he just felt pity. Maybe it was a dare. Maybe she imagined the kindness in his voice. But when the sun rose the next morning, he was back. Not in a limousine. Not in $1,000 coat. But in a basic gray jacket, sleeves rolled up, walking through the construction site like he belonged there. His team tried to follow, but he waved them off. He went straight to her. Samantha froze, holding a bucket of wet cement. Ji-hoon smiled. "Want to take your break now?" he asked. The other workers turned to look. Then stare. Then whisper. Samantha's mouth went dry. I still have half a shift. I talked to your supervisor. He pointed toward the office. Told him you're working too hard. Her supervisor, who rarely even nodded at her, suddenly smiled and said, "Samantha. Go. We take over." What? Was she dreaming? Ji-hoon led her to a quiet corner of the site, under a shaded tin roof where a small table had been set. There were 2 chairs. A lunchbox. Bottled water. He sat. She stood. "Sit, please," he said gently. Her hands were still dusty. She wiped them on her overalls, nervous. Ji-hoon opened the lunchbox. "Do you eat Korean food?" I try," she said, unsure if this was some kind of test. He handed her chopsticks and smiled. "Then try this. My mother's recipe." The food was warm, delicious. Too much for one person. She didn't know what shocked her more, the fact that a billionaire brought her homemade food or that he sat there eating with her, like she was an equal. "Why are you doing this?" she finally asked. Ji-hoon looked at her. His eyes were kind, but there was something else, something intense. "Because you're the only person here who works like you own the place," he said. "And because I've never seen eyes like yours." She blinked. "What's wrong with them?" "Everything is right with them," he said. Boom. Her heart. It was quiet after that. The kind of silence that made everything louder, the rustling wind, the clang of metal in the distance, the sound of her own breath. But sweet moments never lasted long in her world. By the time she returned to work, everyone was staring. Phones were out. Pictures were being taken. Videos. One girl whispered loudly, "She must have done juju. Black magic." Another laughed, maybe she threatened to report him for racism. The site was buzzing with rumors. People she'd never spoken to suddenly called her sister and wanted to chat. Some asked how she'd trapped him. That night, someone slid a note under her door at the hostel. "He will never marry you. Know your level." Samantha cried in the dark, covering her mouth with her pillow. It wasn't fear, it was exhaustion. She didn't ask for this attention. She didn't want drama. She just wanted to be seen without being stained. But the worst part? A little voice inside her whispered. "You don't belong in his world anyway." 2 days later, she avoided him. Hid behind trucks. Changed her shift time. Didn't answer his texts. But Ji-hoon didn't stop. He started showing up earlier. Waiting by the gate. Bringing her coffee. Offering rides. Finally, one rainy evening, she let him walk her home. No makeup. No perfume. Just her hoodie and boots. "I'm sorry," she said. "But you shouldn't be seen with me." "Why not?" "Because I'm too dark, too poor, too foreign. And people like you, people with power, don't date people like me. Not in real life." Ji-hoon stopped walking. I'm not here for real life, he said softly. I'm here for our life. She laughed bitterly. You don't know me. You don't even know where I come from. Then tell me, he said, and I'll listen until the sun comes up. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She wanted to believe him. But trust wasn't easy when your whole life had been one long rejection letter. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small paper crane. I folded this when I was 12. I made a wish that one day, I'd find someone who saw my heart, not just my title. He placed it in her hand. I think that someone is you. Samantha looked down at the crane. Small. Fragile. Beautiful. And suddenly, the world didn't feel so cruel. Not because he was a billionaire. But because, finally, someone didn't flinch at her accent. Or her skin. Or her silence. He just saw her. And wanted to stay. By the time winter rolled in, Samantha had become the most gossiped about person on the construction site, and maybe in the whole of Seoul's elite circles. Not because she asked for attention. But because Ji-hoon wouldn't stop choosing her. He brought her lunch every afternoon. Held an umbrella over her head when it rained. Walked her home in the evenings like they were already dating. And maybe, they were. The lines had blurred. He hadn't asked her officially, but the way he looked at her, the way he listened when she spoke, as if her voice was music, that was love. Samantha felt it. Even though she tried not to. But love in silence is one thing. Love in public? That's where it all fell apart. It was a Saturday afternoon. Cold but sunny. Ji-hoon had invited her for a coffee at a quiet cafe near the Han River. I need to breathe, he said. Let's disappear for an hour. She wore a beige coat he bought her. Not expensive, but warm and soft. She tied her braids into a low bun and added a little lip balm. Not because she was trying to impress him, just because for the first time in forever, she felt visible. They sat in a corner booth, sipping hot chocolate and laughing about work. Ji-hoon leaned in closer, his voice low. Samantha, he whispered, if I told you I haven't stopped thinking about you since the day I saw you, would you believe me? She stared into his eyes. I think I already knew. Then it happened. The kiss. It wasn't wild or desperate. It was soft. Careful. The kind of kiss that says, I'm not rushing. I'm choosing you. But someone had been watching. Click. 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 By Monday morning, the photos were everywhere. Breaking, Korean billionaire caught kissing dark-skinned construction worker. Ji-hoon Min's mystery woman, is she African royalty or gold digger? Netizens react to shocking love affair. The internet exploded. On Twitter, it trended for 12 hours. On Instagram, hate comments poured in under Ji-hoon's old photos. On TikTok, people made videos mocking her skin tone, her hair, her accent. He must be under a spell. What is she hiding? This is a scam. She's probably pregnant already. But the worst betrayal came from within. A fellow African worker from Uganda, someone Samantha had once shared food with, did an interview claiming Samantha bragged about trapping a rich man. She said she'd use her curves and accent to get him, the girl lied. She's smart like that. Cold. That lie spread like wildfire. Samantha's workplace called her in for questioning. Her landlord handed her a notice, too much noise. Leave in 10 days. Even strangers spat near her feet on the street. Ji-hoon tried calling, but Samantha didn't answer. She shut her phone off and disappeared for 3 days. No one could reach her. On the 4th day, Ji-hoon tracked her down to an old abandoned building near an industrial site. She sat on a bench behind it, eating instant noodles straight from the pot. Her eyes were swollen, her face pale. He dropped to his knees. Why did you run from me? She didn't answer. Just kept eating. Her pride wouldn't let her cry in front of him. Not this time. I warned you, she said quietly. I told you people wouldn't accept it. And you believed they'd let us be. He sat beside her. I was wrong. But I'm not leaving. She turned to him. Your mother hates me. Your staff laugh at me. Even your fans want me dead. You want to fight all that, for me? Yes. Why? He reached into his pocket and pulled out her safety helmet, the one she left behind. Because the strongest person I've ever met is a woman who mixed cement with bloody hands, smiled through racism, and still showed kindness to people who hated her. She stared at the helmet. The word Samantha was scratched across the front in black marker. Then Ji-hoon leaned in. Not for a kiss. But to whisper. I'm done hiding. From today, the world will know I love you. By evening, he released an official statement to the press. Yes, I am in love with Samantha Ndela from Cameroon. She is not a secret, not a scandal, and certainly not a mistake. I will not tolerate any racism, colorism, or bullying toward her. If this ends my career, so be it. But I will not end my love. The statement broke the internet again, this time, with divided reactions. Some praised him. Some called him insane. Some posted hate. Some posted apologies. But Samantha sat in silence. Her heart didn't know whether to feel safe or scared. Loved or exposed. Because when a kiss shakes Korea, it also shakes your world. The internet was still burning. TV debates. Reaction videos. Opinion pieces titled, Can a billionaire truly love a dark-skinned foreign worker? Ji-hoon Min is throwing his legacy away for lust. Samantha stayed off social media. Her name was now a wildfire. She couldn't walk down the street without someone pointing. Some smiled. Some sneered. Some just stared, confused that the woman from the viral photos looked like a regular girl in sweats and sneakers. But she wasn't regular anymore. She was the woman Korea couldn't stop talking about. And she hated it. She stopped working at the construction site. Not because she was weak, but because peace had become impossible. Even her co-workers, people who once ignored her, now acted fake nice or suspiciously silent. Whispers followed her everywhere. That's her. The billionaire's African girlfriend. He'll dump her soon. Just wait. But Ji-hoon didn't budge. If anything, he came in louder. He picked her up from her apartment like a prince on a mission. Held her hand in public. Took her out to dinner, even when people stared. And most importantly, he introduced her to his mother. It was a cold, tense dinner. Ji-hoon's mother sat with a stiff smile, dressed in a hanbok so pristine it looked ironed by angels. Her eyes didn't leave Samantha for a second. You're darker than I expected, she said in Korean. Samantha kept calm. I am exactly as I am, Iomioni. The mother nodded slowly. And what do you want from my son? Samantha's fork paused in midair. She looked her in the eye. Respect. Love. And nothing else. Silence. Ji-hoon nearly choked on his rice. But his mother surprised them both with a sigh. At least you don't pretend. She stood up. I still don't support this. But I've raised a stubborn son. So if you're going to be in his life, learn how to survive fire. Because this family is not soft. Then she walked away. Not a blessing. But not a curse either. It was something. 1 week later, Samantha was back at the cafe by the Han River, the place where it all began. Ji-hoon had asked to meet her there one last time. She walked in wearing her favorite jeans and a navy blue coat, unsure of what to expect. A breakup? A goodbye? A plan to move abroad? Instead, she found him down on one knee. A diamond ring in one hand. Her old construction helmet in the other. The entire cafe gasped. Phones came out again. Samantha Ndela, Ji-hoon said, voice shaking, will you marry me, not because of the noise, not because of the hate, but because I see you. And I want to wake up every day knowing I chose the bravest woman I've ever met. Tears slipped down her face before she could stop them. She covered her mouth, nodded, and whispered, yes. The entire cafe clapped. Some cheered. Some stared in shock. But Samantha? She laughed and cried at the same time. Because this was real. This wasn't a drama. It was her life now. The wedding was private. But it made public noise. A hall in Gangnam. Cherry blossoms imported early for the bride. A string quartet. And a giant banner at the gate that stopped traffic. It had her face on it. Dark skin glowing. Natural hair styled like a queen. Traditional Cameroonian beads around her neck. A caption written in gold. He chose love. Netizens didn't know what to do. She looked stunning. I still can't believe it. Maybe love is real after all. And then, silence. The kind of silence that comes after a storm has ended. Not peace, but respect. Later, Ji-hoon made one final move. He started a new business, a multicultural construction and design firm, hiring foreign workers, immigrants, and women who had been discriminated against. He named it ND Construction. The N stood for Ndela. The D stood for Dignity. And Samantha? She became the company's co-founder. Her photo was used in ads. Her story was shared in schools. Not as a fairy tale. But as proof that black, foreign, and female didn't mean invisible. It meant unstoppable. Samantha stood on the rooftop of the new ND Tower, looking out over Seoul. Beside her stood Ji-hoon, holding her hand. Still feel like you don't belong? He asked. She smiled. I don't just belong. I've built something no one can take from me. And below them, the city that once mocked her, now bowed in silent awe.
Hello besties, this story teaches that true love sees beyond skin color, background and status. People may judge you for how you look or where you are from, but the right person will recognize your worth without needing you to change. Kindness, hard work and self-respect always shine brighter, and love built on truth will always overcome gossip and hate. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.